Yep, we got Auburn this week. Did release a video yesterday, but I deleted it because I felt like it was going to get hit or whatever. Yep, old Auburn week. Well, pretty much 2 days away or a day away from it. Man, it's I see the betting lines; they just keep going up and up. I think they're still got us favored by 3 points, 3.5. But the last I don't know about last year, but it seems like the last 4 or 5 years Auburn has played us very hard. And this year, if any year, if they were going to beat us, it would be this year. We got to get back to playing dominant defense and playing really good run offense, which I think we found our guy in old Bowens, Quancy Bowens, where the fuck his name is. He's a lot better than Nate Frazier. Nate Frazier is what you call a bust type of player. He is all hype or whatever, and he's really not that good. Yeah, when you fumble in a big game like that, you lose your starting position. I mean, he didn't start last week against Kentucky, so I think he only got about 4 or 5 snaps, to be honest. It's what he deserves, though. If you fumbled the fucking ball in a big game like that, he had fumbled, a week before or 2 weeks before at Austin Peay, and I think he even fumbled in the Tennessee game. So I don't know if he fumbled in the Marshall game, but that fumble in that Alabama game, that was huge. He did not need to do that, for obvious reasons. Football is it's all about it's all about momentum, right? So yeah, in that moment, Alabama did get 3 points out of it, so they did get points and did get a score out of it. But in that moment, it sucked the momentum out of Stanford Stadium at Dooley Field. So it was more impactful in that instance, taking the crowd out of football's all about momentum. I guess all sports is like that. Basketball, but you can rebound in basketball or even in hockey. I feel like I don't know about hockey, but in basketball you can rebound faster. It's actually games like hockey and soccer. It's actually harder to rebound, but that's why football is so universally liked, I guess, in America and in Canada. And, it's starting to pick up traction around the world because you do have a chance of actually coming back. And a lot of soccer games, if you get down 3 or 4 points, it's over, right? The game's over. So, and I feel like we need to go in there and really whoop their ass, though. I'm talking about, we done a good job beating Kentucky up, but still we let Kentucky put up 14 points. Still let them score. I want to see a shutout. When's the last time you've seen Georgia actually shut out a team? The other teams scored 0 points. It's been a while. That ain't going to happen against Auburn in their stadium, but, it's that's the kind of thinking you need to get back to. Just not the fans and the Georgia players, that's what I'm saying. The players got to want it, the fans can do nothing. That's what I'm saying. All the fans can do is sit out there and cheer. It's up to the players and the team. Do they want to win a championship? The truth is, the way the NIL is going and the way money's being thrown around, you might not never have a traditional team no more. That it's all about recruitment. It's all about tradition. It's all about that's the thing about college football. It's about traditions. It's about the rivalries. Well, the SEC's doing away with the rivalries next year, so let's put it this way. Georgia's not going to be playing Tennessee no more. We're not going to be playing Mississippi State, South Carolina. I think we are going to be playing South Carolina. We're not going to be playing Vandy. So basically, we're not going to be playing about 4 or 5 teams that we always played every year. We're not going to be playing them. Which they already kind of done that this year. Like, we're not playing South Carolina. That's why they picked South Carolina. But this rivalries with other teams, too. Now, I would have liked nothing more than to play Tennessee every fucking year and beat their ass. But I guess South Carolina's the bigger rival, I guess, which they are. They gave us more of a game every year than Tennessee. See, we're up, 9 games on Tennessee? Only the last 3 or 4 games with Tennessee has it been close. You go back before that, it was blowout after blowout. I remember one year it was 40-something to fucking 0, like 40-something to 7. We beat them so fucking bad. At their stadium, at Neyland. Their whole stadium was empty in the fourth quarter. We're beating them so goddamn bad. But yeah, hopefully Georgia can pull it off in the last year, a true actual. But the truth is, there's a lot of players that was stolen from Georgia through the NIL money. Players that no doubt would have come to Georgia because they wanted to be coached by Kirby Smart, and they want to, they want to go and they want to do what they're like, how the Philly Dawgs or whatever, they want to do what they're doing. You know what I mean? They want to play in the NFL. That should be the goal. But with what the NIL does is that's why do these players need to all of a sudden go to the NIL or go to the NFL when they can just make that money right in college? And then, to them players that have come from nothing and have no money, yeah, they're going to take that money in a heartbeat over being trained and, being ready for the next level. A lot of them, they might have it in their head that they're never going to play in the NFL anyway. So you might as well just go ahead and get a couple $100,000, get $1 million right here. Go sit on the bench at Texas and Ohio State and get paid a couple $100,000 or $1 million just so Georgia can't have them. Just so an SEC school, just so Georgia, let's just use Georgia, just so Georgia can't have a defensive player, Ohio State will pay that player $1 million to sit on. They're already doing this. Go look it up. USC, whoever, they'll pay them players to sit on the bench just so another team can't have them. So they'll basically could be ruining this player's career. That's what they did with Archie Manning. They somehow talked Archie Manning into being like, hey, you need to sit out for 2 years and let Q and Ellers fucking play. That has detrimentally ruined Archie Manning's fucking career. That boy should have been playing from freshman year to senior year. And a lot of people say, well, that's how you get hurt. Well, look at him now. He can't even fucking play. I blame Steve Sarkisian and the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach at Texas. They failed him. I have no sympathy, though, for him because, we were heavily recruiting him at Georgia. And it came down to basically, if I remember right, it came down to Kirby Smart basically telling them that, you're not going to just be given the job when it comes your time. You're going to have to go out there and earn it. So if there's another quarterback, a.k.a. it would have been Gunnar Stockton, you were going to have to compete with him. And Archie didn't like that. Archie wanted to start right when it was his chance. If I was him, I would have wanted to start from freshman year. If that means going to a crappy school or kind of like a middle-of-the-road school, let's use Missouri as an example. Let's just say on a whim he went to Missouri for no reason. Missouri's 5-0 right now, looking damn good, looking really good in the SEC. What about Vanderbilt? I know they lost to Alabama. Alabama got their payback on them, but still, I'm saying these shitty teams that were shitty when he was coming out, he would be like, he'd be at the helm, and, Texas is falling apart. Texas is a classic example of what not to do with the NIL money. They thought if they just went out and they got all these great defensive players that they were just going to magically have a great defense. That's not how it works. You have to coach these players. Just because they're a 5-star out of high school, that don't mean shit. That's what Kirby Smart said. He said there's 1,000. He said there's 1,000. He's like, yeah, that's what he said. There's 2,000 kids there in the top, have 5 stars next to their name. And then when you go down to 4-star, it's even more. And then by the time you get to 3-star, hell, that's every kid in the fucking state, right? That's what Brock Bowers was. Brock Bowers was a 3-star. So sometimes you can't go off that, but there's no doubt people like N'Kobe Dean, he was a 5-star recruit out of high school. Jalen Carter, 5-star. Kaylee Ringo, 4-star. Jordan Davis, 4-star. So you get what I'm saying. These players were 4 and 5 stars. They weren't 3 stars. The defensive players. That's what's going to happen, though, and then and it sucks being as a Georgia fan base because we don't have the NIL donors that other schools have. We don't have, don't have old money. All the Texas teams, it don't matter what. This might rub some people wrong if you're a fan of a Texas school, but this is the God honest truth. There's every school, even there'll be community colleges where somebody went to a community college, made it big in the oil business, and was like, all of a sudden, I want my fucking 3-star community college, my 3A community college to fucking start playing in the SEC. And overnight, there's shit. The ball rolls overnight with oil money. That's the truth, and it's happened overnight. You look at Texas Tech and all these Texas teams, all of a sudden become super good. And before that, the only good Texas teams were just Texas and Texas A&M, and maybe Texas Tech. I wouldn't even put TCU in there, right? TCU was in the Mountain West before they went to the conference they're in now. So TCU, for decades wasn't even a part of a Power 5 conference. All the Texas teams, even Oklahoma, they got some money. And then USC, obviously, right? California money. Ohio, steel industry money. Pittsburgh, Pitt. I expect Pitt to start doing a lot better. Georgia Tech's doing a lot better because Atlanta, they got a lot of money pumping through Atlanta. A lot of graduates, And there's money being pumped through Georgia, but not in the same aspect as these places. These are huge cities. This is old money. This is California. I'll keep on going. Teams like Miami, all of a sudden, they became good overnight, didn't they? They were able to steal our quarterback, right? Carson Beck. That's a prime example that affected us 100-fold. And that clown, he tried to spin it like, after he barely won that first game. Oh, and when they play a real team, they're going to lose, and he's going to fold like a deck of cards. But basically, whenever whenever they won their first game, he was saying that, oh man, I wasn't loving football for a long time, but now I love football again. Yeah, I would love football too after I got paid. Like, they didn't even disclose how much it was, but a lot of people were saying it's $5 to $10 million. That son of a bitch got paid $10 million, I bet. Yeah, that'd make anybody love anything again. It's not like they were tough on him either. Like, Kirby was like a douchebag. I mean, an asshole to Stetson Bennett. He was hard on Stetson because he knew he had to be hard on Stetson. And after everything that came out about Stetson being an alcoholic drug user, blah, 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 I ain't going to get into that. But maybe he did need somebody riding his ass. But if I remember right, it was never, if Carson fucked up or anything, Kirby was never screaming at him or chewing him out or getting real mad or anything, Which Kirby's starting to get older now. He doesn't get as mad as he used to, but he's gotten pretty pissed off this season. But that's what I'm saying. Carson back in Miami was able to go out and buy them a $10 million quarterback, and you look at all their players, that's because they have money. They have more money. Their tuition rate's more than Georgia. So, that's what I'm saying. At every aspect, they're making more money. That's what I'm saying. It's all about money now. And that's why the old heads of the college football, that's why they wanted to keep the NIL, that's why they wanted to keep paying the players out of it. They didn't want the players to get anything. They didn't even want them to sell their jerseys or their memorabilia. I remember there was years ago, our players, Todd Gurley, he got fined, and they suspended him for 6 games. Ruined our football season, right? Suspended him for 6 games because he sold one of his jerseys online. One of his signed jerseys. What's funny is he was on a podcast and he was talking about man. He was like, he's like, now players, they set up like, outside of a bookstore and they're selling their shit right out there outside of a bookstore. He was like, if he'd done that shit back then, the cops would have come and arrested him. And I'm like, well, yeah. But I mean, they were doing it though to keep a level playing field, right? You look at it now, there's only going to be about 5 teams that are going to win every year. You're never going to have the luck up team, right? The Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, that Harbaugh, took 4 years when Jim Harbaugh stepped in there, and when he walked out, he had a team of seniors and a senior quarterback, and they were walking out national champions, and he walked right out of Michigan right back into the NFL. And that was his plan all along, go to Michigan, 4 years, win the national championship, get back into the NFL, and maybe even win a Super Bowl with the Chargers. So, yeah. You'll never have that again because the other teams will just steal players from Harbaugh, right? They'll just steal players from that team. You'll never have a team like that. You can't get no more traditional college football than what Jim Harbaugh done at Michigan. He came in with a group of freshmen, and when they left, they were national champions. You don't see that no more. You just don't. You just probably won't ever see it again, to be honest. And his whole vibe, too, that whole football team. I remember we played them, and we beat the hell out of them the year before. We won our back-to-back, but we played them. We beat the hell out of them. But you could just tell his whole football team, their whole demeanor, they were like, had old-school vibes. It wouldn't surprise me if a team like, I don't know, Penn State, they don't got enough weapons, but it wouldn't surprise me if a team that's been doing, terrible season, and every season, like a team like Georgia Tech or something, look up and win it. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. That's the way the NIL is going to produce about five good teams. That's going to be the teams, and then the teams that were good, they're going to fade into the past. I'm surprised Alabama's staying alive as long as they are. Maybe it wasn't Nick Saban, man. Maybe it really is like some fucking voodoo going on there in Tuscaloosa. Some goddamn football magic voodoo. Goddamn, they're under the university, damn conjuring up spirits. No, we must win against Georgia. Sacrifice the lamb. Goddamn. Oh, only in Minecraft. That shit's funny. Drinking some Powerade. I did make a video yesterday, and I was drinking this Whitley. Well, I was drinking some of these Whitley vodkas and some beer. Boy, that Whitley, that is some terrible vodka. I do not recommend that. Stupid advertising is what got me to get it. I was thinking it was going to be good, half-assed decent. I'd say fucking Smirnoff. I'd say Smirnoff's better than that. Smirnoff. Sniff off. $18 minutes, but yeah, I hope Georgia can. 18 minutes, going on 19 minutes. I'm in the video here in a little bit, but yeah, I hope Georgia can go in there and really take care of Auburn this weekend. And then next week's Ole Miss. Man, if people were ever worried about Tennessee and Alabama, they should be shitting bricks going into the Ole Miss week. I thought it was going to be a 7 o'clock game because that's what people had said all off season and whatever, but now it's the Ole Miss game scheduled for 3:30. So they're doing that because there's going to be other games being played that they deem are going to be better, I guess. Man, can't wait for it. Can't wait for the Auburn game. Damn right. Go Dogs. Beat the fucking Tigers.